wants a chat. As always, I'm joined by our very own extraterrestrial who loves a black hole, but you can call him John.
I thought you said loves a science fiction film, but you ruined it. To be fair, with that theme, we could do so many like aliens that just want to have a chat. Isn't that like most Star Trek films? 9 times out of 10. Could be whales.
It is. Yeah, I guess so. I was clutching at straws. Really, I didn't really know. Isolation's a bit boring, isn't it? But I guess it is about isolation. So both
Man's
films.
relationship with technology versus nature and all that stuff too. Bit of that.
That's it. And if you haven't guessed already, or if you haven't read the title of the episode, because you're just so excited that it just pops on your phone because you've got the bell icon on, you just click the episode. This is an episode where we're going to cover Project Hail Mary from this year. It's been out for a few weeks now. And The Abyss from 1989, which I'm super excited about.
Nightmare to get hold of and watch. If you don't have physical media, you're kind of screwed in the UK. But apart from that, really looking forward to talking about that one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. As always, you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. If you search Movies in a Pod Show, all one word, Tony, you can find us on basically wherever you get your podcasts from. We also still sell T-shirts. You can find them on moviesinapodshell.sumupstore.com for the nice little price of £18. You won't see any inflation here. So yeah, that's it. Well, not for the time being, anyway. John,
there's no escape.
I know.
I bet our Riverside subscription's going up. Anyway, go on.
It probably is, yeah. What have you been doing?
I've been watching some bits and bobs. I've been filming quite a lot. I've had a few weekends off, which has been nice because there's been some away games, but that's been good. But film-wise, really randomly. Did you watch Red Letter Media did like a Sam Raimi kind of recap, and they went through like his whole filmography and like were ranking them?
Well, it's one of the ones I haven't seen from Red Letter Media.
I thought you would because you're normally quite on it with like the Red Letter Media category. So I was like, okay, the one that came to mind was I always watched Spider-Man 1, I always watched Spider-Man 2. I think I've seen 3 like once when it came out, and then maybe once like 15 years later. And I hadn't watched it in years. I actually quite like it. And it was really fun watching it with kind of like, it's not as good as 2. 2 is like the best sequel. It's a bit like Aliens. Like you get that really amazing sequel, then the third one's just not quite right. And as much as I love 3, it's not quite right. And I felt like, yes, it's got too many villains and stuff, but there's still so much good Raimi in it. And like there's some really good set pieces. A lot of the CG stands up surprisingly well. I need to speak to you about some CG in 4Ks later, actually, because the reason I'm watching the Spider-Man films anyway was because at Christmas I was gifted the 4K selection. I think we spoke a bit about it on the pod previously, and I hadn't watched 3 yet. And it's crazy to me that 1 to 3 have got like really quite heavy grain because it's like still shot on film stock and whatever, film stock. And then that kind of goes away when you get the later films, and then especially with like the Blu-ray reviews are kind of like the 4K for this looks better than like the Marvel ones that came later because they're like 2K essentially like scans, final product scans and then up-res and shot digitally, so it's really interesting. But anyway, but yeah, I think 3 I quite like that trilogy. I wish there was a 4. There was an April Fool's today saying it was in production, and I didn't fall for it because I knew it was April 1st, but there we go. And then on top of that, smashing through Mad Men. I think I've got like 2 series left. I've absolutely blitzed through it. Love it.
Enjoying it.
Really enjoying it. It's very slow burn, which is quite good for me at the moment because things have been a bit manic. So it's quite a good like 45 minutes of quite relaxing. I say relaxing TV. It's quite stressful situations, but it's quite slow in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, how about yourself? What have you been watching?
I'm watching loads, aren't I? So I went to New York
someone's
recently.
Got to, mate. Someone's got to.
Yeah. I went to New York. I just got back from New York probably not the beginning of last week. So that was amazing. So for the first time I've been to America. And so I didn't really watch any films while I was over there. What did I watch? Oh, I watched The Mighty Ducks D3 on the plane. I had just hilarious because on the plane I've got my iPad with me, so like big, like it's a 13-inch iPad Pro, so it's a way better screen than what they're offering on the back of someone's seat that keeps moving. But they've got like loads of new films on there, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna watch Mighty Ducks 3. So watch the Mighty Ducks 3, and it's fine. It's not nowhere near as good as the first 2. It's nowhere near as good as the first 2. I think because Gordon Bombay. Cast? Yeah, it is, but Bombay's not in it much. And it's kind of like, it's quite rushed and the relationships aren't really built very well. But anyway, yeah. So I went to New York. That was amazing. So did lots of like New York stuff. Weirdly, like I'm going to talk about Bleecker Street in New York in a minute because I did rewatch a certain Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film.
Of course.
But yeah, so I've watched. Did I mention that I'd seen Scream 7 last time I was on the pod? I don't know if I did.
You did on the pod. We spoke about it, but not on the pod. So go over that.
Okay. I mean, so Scream 7. Obviously, it's the 7th entry into the franchise. Believe it or not, there's a killer on the loose.
Really?
Sydney Prescott is back. And yeah, you can imagine beat for beat exactly what happens. And I've seen a lot of like really sniffy, like 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews. I'm like, if you're expecting some kind of like revelation on the 7th entry into a slasher franchise, I don't know what you're doing.
But what was the one that when it all reinvented and it was like really meta, like 2019, 2021,
just
whatever.
Scream. I think it was just called Scream. So they'd rebooted it and it was called Scream. In fact, it's up there in my Blu-rays. But if you're expecting like a really clever script, intricate plot, I do think you are probably the problem. Neve Campbell's really good value. Some really good kills actually. The plot's been done time and time again, but it's a Scream film. I had loads of fun. I've rated it 3.5 stars. I don't know what you want me to do about that. I also watched a film on Amazon Prime called Pretty Lethal, which is a new film. It was like billed as kind of like there's ballerinas. It's an action film. So it's basically about a group of ballerinas that find themselves they're on the way to Budapest for this competition, and they find themselves stranded, and they go into this like inn, like it's like an inn in Budapest. Uma Thurman's in there, and obviously all of a sudden turns out that the ballerinas ain't gonna get out, and so they've got to fight their way out. It very, very much knows exactly what it is, so they're doing like pirouettes and kicking the bad guys in the face and stuff like that. So it's quite lighthearted in places. It's also quite what's the word? It reminded me of Sucker Punch a little bit, weirdly, but it's a little bit lighthearted in places. You were going to say something, John?
No, I was going to say Sucker Punch is quite balletic at points. You know, I get it, stylized.
Is balletic a word? Is it?
I think it is. I'm going with it.
Okay, well, we're going to go with it on Movies in a Pod Show podcast, episode 103. Yeah, so, I mean, it's a female director. You can tell it's a female director, actually, because there's a scene where it could have got a little bit nasty with one of the men when he comes to, like, get one of the girls, and it doesn't go there, which was actually quite refreshing. So it's probably like a 3-star, like, just bang on 3-star. It's not doing anything new whatsoever, but it's self-aware enough for you to have a good time. It's very much Friday night, turn your brain off kind of stuff. I also watched Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3, obviously the first two I really do enjoy. We've got all the returning cast. Ben Schwartz as the voice of Sonic. You've got Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow the Hedgehog, and you've got Idris Elba back voicing
games as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and you've got Idris Elba voicing Knuckles again, and most importantly, you've got Jim Carrey, who returns as Dr. Robotnik. And it's actually really the only work he's doing at the moment is these Sonic films, because someone mentioned that he's got lots of bills to pay, and so he came out of retirement to do these Sonic films. I mean, what can I tell you? Sonic, Knuckles, Tails reunite, and essentially Shadow, who's this mysterious villain who he's been kept underground for like 50 years. It's a little bit like, is it Transformers where that happens, where like you've got one of the Decepticons and he's been underground for like 50 years or something. But anyway,
isn't that every Transformers film pretty much?
It could be, yeah. So that's kind of what is happening with that. And then yeah, they've got to get themselves together, and there's this like kind of there's different versions of the like Robotnik and stuff. It's very funny. Like Jim Carrey is hilarious, and do you know what? I was really impressed with the CG. So I've been banging on the pod for ages about how crap films look at the moment. This film looks great. It is still got that like relatively muted color palette, but it's still really colorful in places as well. So like the characters really stand out. The CGI is brilliant. Like I can't even fault it. So I had a great time. 3.5 stars. You know. Nice. I then watched the film. I've been trying to get through my Blu-rays, my unwatched Blu-rays, which is quite a lot at the moment. I then watched a film called Something Wild Something Wild by Jonathan Demme, who did Silence of the Lambs and Philadelphia. This is I'd find it difficult to recommend this to people that weren't kind of like really into film, as wanky as that sounds, because it's kind of just like a slice of life. It's basically Melanie Griffith plays this character who she's like this like free spirit, and she basically almost kidnaps Jeff Daniels, and they're kind of pretending to live this life where he's a married man. She thinks he's married because he's got a wedding ring on and all the rest of it. And they're just kind of going off and just doing wacky stuff, like having sex, all that kind of, I say wacky stuff. You ever heard of that wacky stuff, sex? But then you've got Ray Liotta, who turns up as her ex-boyfriend who's just got out of prison. And he is just fantastic. So like really chewing the scenery. I just love when Ray Liotta loses his shit, and he does in this film. And so it's kind of just like that kind of like cat and mouse kind of film with like good dialogue. I really enjoyed it. It's a 4-star, but I can't really say that it's plot heavy at all. Right, then some rewatches.
Oh, just taking a sip for a rewatch.
Drink. Yeah. So I had a great Sunday night. I had a really good Sunday night. I rewatched The Warriors. So having just come back from New York, I was really in a New York film, so I watched The Warriors. And it does add something, you know, when you've been to New York and you see the places that they've gone, like it really does add something. You're like, oh, the subway and this, Central Park, blah, blah, blah. I've spoke about The Warriors loads of time on this pod, and we're probably going to cover it at some point, and it's going to be a big event because I just love the film so much. Have you seen it, John?
No, I've not seen it.
That's going to be
fantastic. There's a PS2 game of it.
There was, yeah. Rockstar did a game of it.
There you go.
So this is directed by Walter Hill, who everyone knows that I love, who's done Streets of Fire. He's done The Driver, which is great. Southern Comfort, which is also a banger. He's done some really good films. Hard Times is like one of his older films, which I really love. This is obviously a film where it's just about all the gangs of New York come together, and they've all got personalities. You've got the Warriors. You've got one of the coolest gangs to ever live called the Baseball Furies. And basically what they do is they dress up in baseball uniforms, they paint their face, and they carry baseball bats, and it's just really cool. There's a gang that's on roller skates. Yeah, it's like, yeah. And basically they get all the gangs together at the beginning, and someone shoots the leader of all of the gangs. So like the head guy, and that gets blamed on the Warriors. So the Warriors have to basically get back to Coney Island from the middle of New York, and it's like throughout the night, and there's a price on their head, and there's this like, it keeps cutting into this like radio host, and you only ever see like this part of her, like and you see her lips and her teeth, and she's like, Warriors, like, we're coming to get you, like all this. It's really good, man. Like, so anyway, one of my favorite films. It's been a favorite for years, and it will continue to be. And James Remar's in it as well, which is interesting. Who is, if anyone doesn't know, it's Dexter's dad from the Dexter TV show. But he's in loads of stuff. So yeah, Warriors, incredible. 4.5 stars. Don't at me. Then finally, I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rewatch. I bought the box set, 4K box set from Arrow. And we've covered Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the pod, so you can go back and listen to that. You literally just search in our podcast Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you find it. John, like, I don't know whether I'm like saying the same things that I said on the pod, because I can't remember what I said on the pod. But honestly, like, this film makes me so happy.
I think that we covered on that episode, I think you were a bit more twinge nostalgia towards it than I was, because I obviously hadn't seen it until.
There's no nostalgia at all.
There is.
There's no nostalgia,
let's not pretend otherwise. It's a bit like when I watched the Power Rangers film. It's not, come on.
When I'm watching it, the score is unbelievable. Like, I've got the biggest smile on my face. There's some cheesy moments, but the martial arts is great. It's fantastic, and I really don't like the look on your face.
I know. I'm pretty sure that was your reaction last time we talked about it.
Yeah, I think so. But it's I couldn't want for anything more. If someone's like, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do a live action. I don't think they could have done it any better than they did it, and it's wonderful. So I've got the second one to watch as well, and the third one. I don't really think I've seen the third one all the way through, to be honest. But the 4K presentation of it. Oh, by the way, yeah, the 4K presentation of The Warriors is one of the best I've ever seen. The film is from 1979, and it is so crisp. Honestly, it's fantastic. So if anyone's interested in that, The Warriors 4K disc is unbelievable watch. So I'd really recommend that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles preserves all the grain. It's quite grainy in places, actually, but then it's quite clean in places as well, and it's something to do with, I don't know, the way it was filmed. So yeah, so that's basically what I've been watching, and I'm almost finished season 1 of Game of Thrones. Oh, I guess we'd better start talking about the first film, which is obviously going to be Project Hail Mary from directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller from 2026.
I'm Grace. I'm gonna call you Rocky. We're here for the same reason. His son is dying too. If we're gonna save our planets, we have to learn how to communicate. Check this out. We have about 250 words. Let's find you a voice.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Oh.
Nope.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Try this.
I am Rocky. I like.
So I've seen Project Hail Mary. It was obviously advertised everywhere, and they've done a really good job marketing it, by the way. And I was like, right, that's well up John Street, and it's getting a lot of like traction, so we must cover it. So I was like, John, please try and get to the cinema to see Project Hail Mary. And you were like, yeah, and you've read the book as well, haven't you? So
to be fair, it was so long ago. Well, I say it's so long ago. It was released in 2021. I remember reading it either after a lockdown or it was like weird period where things were all a bit strange. So I couldn't fully remember it. I'd kind of forgotten parts of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's. I think I said. Sorry if I said this to you before. I don't know if I said this to you on the phone or if I said it on the pod. There was The Martian, which I loved as a book. Then there was another one which I think was called Artemis, which was about a heist on the moon.
Yes.
Yes, and like that one I never got on with. I was upset because I really liked his writing style. I thought I'd be really into it, and it just did not click for me at all. There was something about it I just didn't enjoy. And then I was really umming and ahhing whether to read Project Hail Mary because I didn't know if it would fit. But it is quite similar to The Martian in terms of the beats of like, we'll talk about some plot similarities as well. But like, he's kind of nailed the what it means to be human, left alone, and the spirit and all those kind of things. So
yeah, I would say like they're both they're quite similar in a way. Like they're just about a very smart person who has been abandoned somewhere, and he's trying to like Andy Weir's known for like getting really complex science and actually science that works and talking about it in his books and getting people to understand it. So I think from what I understand, I've not read any of his books. It doesn't really, for me, this type of stuff like doesn't really interest me in book format, like, because if I'm going to read a book, I want to read like a scary book or a fantasy book with like a big world. I don't really want to read a book about space, which I know is massively your thing. But obviously he's known for making the general Joe Blogs understand like smart science stuff. This film, I believe, has like really dumbed that down and kind of even further to kind of get everyone on board, which is absolutely fine. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. The Artemis book you're talking about from 2017, so that I believe that's in pre-production or that's on its way. So yeah, so did you say you enjoyed the Project Hail Mary book, didn't you?
I did enjoy the book of it. I mean, to be fair, it's in my mind, from what I remembered, it was a pretty fair adaptation in terms of it. It stuck to it pretty religiously in terms of how it's constructed and the way the plot reveals itself, and the back and forth. Because, like, obviously, the film does some really clever visual things to help you know what's present day and what's not. So you've got two different aspect ratios. And I found out today there's actually two different film stocks. So Jamie and I were talking about the fact this film was shot digitally, which it was, and then Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, has got a process where he takes the digital film and it gets put onto the digital edit, so it gets then put onto film and then rescanned, so you get like the halation and like the nice natural film grain that he feels like digital can't replicate. But the other benefit of that is they use different film stocks to make it. There was like a cooler color grade for when it's like history and going back to Earth where things aren't good, and then there's a warmer color grade for like when they're on the ship and things are positive and optimistic, because it's a really colourful film, isn't it? Like it's a rarity these days to see a colourful film, and it's really nice to see that. I mean, I really like Greg Fraser, but I don't associate him necessarily with making colourful films. The Batman is not a colourful film. I mean, it has strong reds in it, I suppose.
Dune, not very colourful.
June is very like, you know, there was a sequence that's that amazing black and white. It's not black and white. It's like ultraviolet or something, isn't it? Insane. But so yeah, it's
we love Greg Fraser, don't we?
I do love him, and like apparently the process of like they're shooting it digitally and then getting it put onto film and rescanning it is a process they've been perfecting for like 5 years plus now, or even longer than that. And I think June may have been the first big project to do it. They may have done it before, and then it's just grown and grown. I mean, I noticed it more on June 2, to be completely honest. And then I know they did that for the Batman. But what I like about Greg Fraser is he's incorporating things like I've got an old vintage Soviet Union lens, which is called a is it Helios 422 44?
I love that lens.
Like the football formation. But anyway, it's known for like getting this swirly backdrop, and it's used in Dune at the start for like the meeting with Florence Pugh and the Emperor in the second film. And it's a rehouse, much better than the one I've got on my Sony. But the point was they're taking like old vintage glass to get these characteristics to make digital look more interesting, because digital like lenses in general, like Jamie's into photography now as well, so he understands this. Like lenses are so clinical, clean and sharp now, it's lost the bit of the flair. And some of the things we liked about old films were J.J. Abrams took it too far, but he would get his torch and flicker it about to get flares on everything. Or like in the 70s, you had detuned lenses, which were like glass, which was like imperfect. But now people are purposely getting glass and detuning it to look older. There's now for Da Vinci, which is the color grading software, there's literally like a new app which allows you to emulate any lens, and it adds like all the different distortion and like. Yeah, it's just interesting, but I love the fact Greg Fraser incorporates the new and the old to make something visually so distinctive. But also there's a lot of like decisions for this film which make it work, which is a majority of it's done like there's a practical puppet being used. There's no green screen being used. That's not to say there's not digital backdrops and extensions, because there absolutely is, but you're not doing the keying process. So there'll still be a lot of painting or whatever else, digital painting things out. But it feels like a very tangible film, which again might sound slightly pretentious, but so many of these times where things feel like floating heads and not quite right. And Jamie, I did notice you put a slightly sarky post about people saying this is the best thing, like in relation to Interstellar. Now, the reason I think people love Interstellar so much is because that film feels tangible, because like 2001: A Space Odyssey, it's either model work, there is CG in Interstellar, but the majority is model work and practical effects and putting a projector in the background which shows Earth in the backdrop, and it feels tangible and real. And I think that's why people had bought so much into that, and that film from 2010 still looks a damn sight better than a lot of things that have come after it. I mean, we're on a bit of a phase of this at the moment. Jamie and I were sending each other the new Spider-Man trailer, and I said I think it looks worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, it might be because it's early grade CG, it's not like the finished product, and I hope that's the case. And apparently it's the same VFX crew overseeing that did Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I really hope it is, because I still think some of the best CGI's in that. Probably got half the time
and being forced to use like AI.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that I mean, you've just brought up Interstellar, which is really you're dragging our pod through the mud right now. I'm gonna counter your point where you say that like the reason why people are comparing Interstellar, I don't think that is the reason. I think the reason they're comparing Interstellar is just because there's this, I love Interstellar, it's the best space film ever, and it might be the only space film I've ever seen. Like, from when I think about stuff like Contact, which we've covered on the pod, Interstellar is not the only benchmark. If anything, I would compare Project Hail Mary more to something like Arrival. So because you've got like the language.
It is. I remember reading it, thinking a bit like, we read Ready Player One. It's like all the best parts of all these games. Project Hail Mary is a little bit crowd pleasing, a little bit like, it's like the bit of Arrival you like when they learn to talk to each other, and it's the bit of this film when they do this, and there's a bit of this film they do that. And like when I watched it, I felt like your initial reaction and your review felt more positive than mine, and that's not because I didn't think it wasn't shot particularly well or anything.
Because it wasn't
like
as good as Interstellar.
No, I'm not getting into that conversation. It's been too long since I watched it. What I meant to say was I am more so into probably more miserable sci-fi, or even slightly less optimistic than this. This was quite like, it almost felt 80s. Do you know what I mean by that? The kind of like,
I love that,
there's that kind of like the optimism to it, which is a nice change. But part of me was just like, that's not the kind of thing I normally consume anymore, or am that into. But should
we give the synopsis?
Go for it.
Yeah, okay. So, wee little synopsis then for you is just to jog your memory, because I would imagine you're not listening to this without having read this, like without having seen the film. We are going to spoil it. We are also going to spoil The Abyss, which is masterpiece. Anyway, this film is about a guy called Ryland Grace. So he wakes up. He's played by Ryan Gosling. He wakes up on a spaceship. It's not a spaceship, is it? What is it? Is it a spaceship?
It is a spaceship.
Oh, it's a ship and it's in space. It's a spaceship. What am I talking about? So he wakes up on a spaceship. By the way, I've been up since I've had a very long day, so bear with me. He wakes up and he's got no recollection of what's gone on, who he is, why he's there. And he's like kind of rummaging around this spaceship, and all he can find is his dead crew members, and just kind of trying to piece things together. His memory starts to come back, and he starts to like realize his mission. And the audience learns about his mission through flashbacks, which I know is, people often say like, oh, it's a flashback, it's cheap. Like, it's not, it's done really well. And you kind of, it slowly starts like drip feeding you information of like who he is. And you kind of build up this idea of like who Ryland Grace is. And we kind of just see him go through, that he starts off as a science teacher, and then he gets drawn into NASA.
So I was going to say, do you know what's mad? Is like Contact is the opposite, where it is basically a different film for like an hour and a half, and there's space exploration at the end. Yeah. Like, because like not using flashbacks, there's just like the opening sequence where it's her as a kid and then going forward. And actually, like a 90s film, it's like 2.5 hours long. It's like, we're not even going to get you in space for like a good hour and 45 plus.
We ain't got the budget.
Do you know what I mean?
We ain't got the budget to get you in space.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so they basically, we find out that he is in space because the sun is been infected by like this bacteria that's blocking out the sun, and it's causing the sun to die. So basically in the next 10 to 15 years, the Earth's going to drop by 15 degrees, and in the next kind of 50 years, nothing left kind of thing, due to the cold. So he is basically got this idea, this really unique idea about how things work. I'm not going to explain it here. Mostly because I don't know how. So yeah, and so he's on this spaceship, and he bumps into an alien life form that is on the same mission, and they become friends. And it's really just about, I would say the film at its heart is about kind of these two it's buddies, isn't it? It's a film about two friends, and it's hopeful, it's optimistic. It's funny. It probably had me nearly crying about 5 times. Like I welled up like at least 5 times. So yeah, I've got to say I really loved it. And I didn't really have much bad to say about it. I've got a couple of little complaints, but
okay, go on then.
Oh, I mean, so my main complaint is that he learned how to communicate with this alien in the space of 10 minutes.
Insanely fast. That annoys me as well. In Arrival, it takes weeks, doesn't it, or months? I can't remember, but they feels like they're doing it for ages before they get anywhere. Yeah, and so, also the vocabulary fits too much. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly,
the whole syntax is exactly the same. But look, I'm a guy who watches Star Trek, so what do I know? I mean,
syntax, love it. I love the first time syntax has been mentioned on the pod. One of the first times syntax has ever been mentioned on a film pod.
Wow, there we go. But what my gripe with the film in general was, I just remember at the time being, maybe it's just misery in old age, but I was just a bit like, oh, it feels a bit twee almost at points. But then like that's kind of the point. That's what separates it out. Like it's like it is a feel good sci-fi, which is quite rare. It's not Sunshine. I mean, it's a similar plot to Sunshine, but it's not Sunshine. You know. Have you seen that, by the way? Danny Boyle?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, good. But yeah, there's a few nice nods to 2001: Space Odyssey with like the color of the suit, etc. And like I really like the I like Rocky. I mean, I don't feel like anyone dislikes Rocky.
Yeah, how can you not like Rocky?
But the main thing for me is Ryan Gosling has the charisma to pull that off, and Matt Damon was the same in The Martian. You basically got long periods where it's a one-man play, and you're just watching the one-man play, and they've got to convey a lot without talking. So it's a lot of eye acting and a lot of looking off and working, figuring these things out. So if you're getting the story from that, then obviously they're doing something right. But Ryan Gosling's just so... I feel like I've not seen him in much for a while. Maybe it's just the selection of films I've been watching, but I feel like he has been a bit quieter. And then,
he's really quiet in Barbie.
How long ago was that, though? Feels a while ago.
Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't think he's been. Barbie was 2023. I think that might have been the last thing I saw him in as well, to be honest. So yeah, maybe I'll shut my mouth, John.
Make a change.
Deserved it. Yeah. I think that he was also in The Fall Guy, which was 2024. So he's doing a film a year at the moment, and they're pretty big films. Let's be honest. So I think that I think Ryan Gosling, actually, when I think about him, he might be really underrated as an actor and his versatility. Because when I think of Ryan Gosling, I don't know what it is, but I think of him as a pretty boy. I think of him as quiet. But actually, when you look at his filmography over the last kind of, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, he's been doing some insane stuff. Like he's obviously done. He was in Blade Runner. He was the main character in Blade Runner, 2049. La La Land, crazy. Barbie, which is, I guess, slightly similar to La La Land. He also done like Lars and the Real Girl. He's really, like, I don't know. I think he's probably a little bit underrated, and maybe people look at him as a really good looking guy that can sing a little bit. I don't know. That's how I viewed him. But actually, when I see him in this, he said it was. So I know that a lot of actors say this, but he said it was the hardest role of his entire career. And a lot of actors always say that, but I genuinely believe it, because I think he spent something like, I don't know verbatim, but it was when I was listening to an interview with him. He said he spent about 130 days alone on filming, which is, I'd imagine, really difficult when you're kind of. And apparently he really bonded with the actor that was playing the Rocky. So.
I've seen the videos of him actually doing the puppetry as well. I didn't realise quite the guy doing the puppet was the guy doing the voice as well.
James Ortiz,
yeah, obviously helps with like that link, but their relationship is the key to all of it, really. I mean, it's the most interesting relationship in it, and it's like good old cooperation, intergalactic cooperation.
No, it's good, and I think that I think that they've done a really good job of making us care about Rocky so quickly as well. Like the reason I think that the film is so, I guess it's so lovely, is because it's just got genuine, lovely like moments of like characters sacrificing themselves for each other, which you just don't see very often. And it's, even when the end might be a little bit unbelievable, when Rocky saves Riley or Grace, and then Grace kind of like sends them both on their way because they've solved the issue from this. I can't remember what the material is, but they've solved the issue, and then he realised actually there's a leak.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a leak. There's a leak on Rocky's ship, and he's like, right, well, this whole ship's going to go down there, and he won't be able to find the leak. So he goes back for a minute. And this is like, I think when it's slowly revealed that actually Ryland Grace in the like when he's back on Earth is, I don't want to say a coward, because he's not a coward, because I don't think a lot of people would agree to do this. He's been screwed over by Sandra Hüller or whatever team she's managing. When he's screwed over and kind of forced to go into space, he doesn't want to go. I guess that is a bit of a cowardly act. In a film kind of thing, like in reality. I think
you've also got to take in the fact that like there was a whole team he trained to go, and they blew up on the you know what I mean? Like he was doing his part, and like he discovered or if he didn't discover the element, he worked out how to replicate it to make the fuel to go and solve the problem. So like he wasn't the main man, he was the backup crew, and like that's why it all goes south. So,
exactly.
In his defense, you know?
Yeah. Well, the beauty of it for me is that you've got this character who he doesn't have anything on Earth. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have any family. He's got nothing. And he's a coward because he's not got anything to fight for, really. And so when we see him evolve as a person when he's in space and he's made this relationship with Rocky and he goes back to sacrifice himself for Rocky, I think that's quite beautiful. And there's a couple of like small little lines in the film that I picked up on as well. Like in particular when Grace is asking Rocky, like, yeah, have you got anyone? Like, have you got a wife? He's like, yeah, like, yeah. He's like, well, how long have you been together? And he says something like
150 years.
Yeah, 150 years or something. And he's like, oh no. He's like, he said, not long enough. No, right. I think, yeah, something like that. And then towards the end, Ryland Grace says to Rocky, like, how long, when they're on the planet together, how long are you going to stay for? And he says, no, he said, oh, that's it. Sorry. Ryland Grace says to Rocky, oh, that's a long time. And he says, not long enough, referencing the 150 years or whatever. And then when they're on the planet together, when they've kind of come back together, he says, oh, how long are you going to stay for? He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, I hope a long time. And I was like, that's really beautiful writing, that is. And I think it's just a nice film that's been really written with a lot of care, which I loved it. And I just love the whole craft of the film. I think they've done a fantastic job, and they've got people in cinemas again. Like the cinema was absolutely packed when I was in there. So I think it's good for humanity, this film.
I saw it midweek and it was packed out as well. And it was
really okay.
Evening.
Good.
It was like the middle of the afternoon. It was a lot of students and stuff because it always is the time I go to cinema these days. But it was really good. I didn't love the score much. Some people rave about the score because it's all quite different, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But hey ho.
I didn't mind the score. I wouldn't say it was a standout for me. Like it was. I don't particularly. Obviously, you've got
the fact you don't particularly remember it when I've just mentioned it speaks volumes to me. Yeah,
you've got some needle drops in there as well. Like, and I was listening to an interview with Ryan Gosling, and he was saying that Sandra Hüller, when she does this karaoke before the astronauts are going into space, he's an astronaut, he says, before they go into space, they're doing karaoke, and Sandra Hüller just comes in and she sings a song by Harry Styles, and it's really, really good, and she does it for real.
It's been stuck in my head for days since I saw the film, and actually good marketing because it was stuck in my head before I'd even seen the film, because I'd seen either Insta Reels targeted or just advertisements, TV, everything. It did feel like it was everywhere promotion wise. I'd love to know how much they spent on promoting it.
Well, apparently this was done as a joke. So Sandra Hüller doing the karaoke was like just her off the cuff, like as a joke, and then they said that they were like, you need to do this in the film, and she's like, nah, no way. And they were like, no, please do this in the film. And she's like, the only way I'll do it is if I can do that song. And they were like, oh, Harry Styles. She was like, yeah. And they were like, can you do something that's like easier to license? And she was like, nope. So that's why they had to get that. So I thought that was quite interesting. Just in general, it's a really good time, and it's been getting absolutely fantastic reviews. £200 million budget, and it's done 322 million worldwide to date.
Okay. And
then the reception, Rotten Tomatoes, it's on 95%, which obviously we don't count it for nothing, but it's worth referencing. Metacritic, the critics, this is always the way now. The critic score is 77, the user score is 83, which is hilarious. And then on Letterboxd, it's sitting at a 4.3. which I found interesting, which is very, very high. So that will definitely start to come down as it normally does. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was great. The choice of Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to direct it, obviously for me, is a bit of a weird one, because they did do the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, which I just find it. Like, I get the vibe, but to do something so ambitious, they've done a fantastic job.
Maybe this is kind of, well, it's not what Star Wars, the Solo story, could have been, but I feel like they didn't get to finish that, did they? So maybe they wanted to have another crack at a science fiction film. And also there'd be far less, in my mind, there'd be far less studio interference with this, because they know that Andy Weir's scripts do well, like because The Martian did. So the hope was it's a pretty similar formula, essentially. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's worth just noting, one last thing is that the novel, there is quite a big difference between the novel and the film. the novel ends with Grace choosing to remain permanently with Rocky in the on the Iridian planet. So he chooses
which makes
not
sense
to.
because the amount of time it would take him to get back anyway. He'd have to go back into stasis or coma or live on the ship for like 15 years on his own or whatever it was to get there.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense. I think that would have been, they should have gone with that ending, if I'm honest, in my opinion. That would have been the kind of, to enhance it one more time, because actually he's on the Iridian system and he's teaching the Iridians and he's got this beautiful relationship with Rocky, and he didn't have anything on planet Earth, so it would make complete sense. And he's a hero, so it's just, Ryan Gosling, man, what a guy, and I just want him to continue doing lots of these interesting projects. I say interesting, it's a big ask, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, his breadth is interesting, from like love guy in The Notebook and whatever else to then Crazy Stupid Love, was it? I can't remember. Then
Crazy Stupid Love, which I also love.
He did his moody film series. He got Drive, and then the one after that I've forgotten the name of, with the same director, Only God Forgives.
And then you kind of.
Yeah, I like Beyond the Pines, but Beyond the Pines was long. It was like 3 hours. Him and Eva Mendes looking moody, and he looks very cool.
Oh, that's his wife, isn't it, now?
Yep. But that film's probably worth a rewatch, you know. I think that's one of those films that when we were at uni, we'd be like, oh, it's too long, it's not that interesting. I bet if we rewatched it, I bet we'd love that film.
I don't think I've seen it.
I've got a feeling.
I've only seen no. So I've seen quite a few of his, but there's also quite a few that I haven't seen. So I haven't seen Fracture. I've got First Man to watch.
First Man is good, but I'll be honest, of the space films I've watched many a film about the Apollo missions. It's not my favourite one. I do feel like it's quite morbid's not the word, but it's more. It makes it feel like a documentary. To be fair, it does do the Damien Chazelle thing because it's Damien Chazelle's director.
I was going to say, yeah, it's Damien Chazelle, isn't it?
He's got that. He's really good at building up those endings. When we talked about, so like in I forgot the name of the other film with Margot Robbie, Babylon. He likes to do these big epic conclusions of montages, they have deeper meanings, and like you get that with First Man. So it is definitely worth a watch. And Claire Foy's in it; she's very good in it. She was just back off The Crown at that point. She's just on season 1 and 2. But yeah, it's there's others I prefer from there, but there we go.
Yeah, cool, bro. So we're going to talk about next a film that is just completely unavailable and quite frankly has gone into the abyss.
The company has authorized the Navy's use of this facility for a rescue.
My people are not qualified for this. We're oil workers.
Lieutenant Koff will transfer it down to you with a SEAL team.
You'll do absolutely nothing without direct orders from me.
There is something down there. Something not us. Not human.
Right, John, so we've probably got a bit more to talk about on this next film, because we know a bit more about the production, because there is extensive notes on it. But we're going to talk about James Cameron's forgotten masterpiece. Should I call it a masterpiece? I'm going to. The Abyss from 1989. I watched the director's cut. It's 171 minutes long. John watched the director's cut. Hear a little bit about that trailer. John, so I suggested this film to you because... So I tell you what, in fact, I'm going to come clean. The reason why I actually picked this was because Ryan Gosling was saying in an interview how much he loves The Abyss and how much he drew from The Abyss. And I was like, right, this is a really good chance for me to just... They're both quite similar films about people being lost either in sea or in space.
First Contact as well, most importantly.
First Contact as well, and also aliens not trying to kill us. So I just thought, I was like, that's a really good little match, and it's an excuse for me to watch it, and I'm going to watch it. But how do we watch it, John?
Oh, Christ.
How do we watch it?
So it was available on Disney in the UK, and then it got removed really quickly because there's a sequence where it's a real life... Basically, there's a rat that has a liquid that goes through its body, and it allows them to breathe underwater, which is like a real technology and is a real thing. But basically, Cameron filmed it for real, and the BCFC do not like that scene. And when it was released in the cinemas, he cut it, or it's been cut from previous home releases. But now, because he's stubborn and old, he was like, I'm not getting rid of the scene, it's staying in. So It is what it is. And then
I agree.
And then Disney were like, okay, UK says we can't have it on streaming, so it's removed off all streaming. It's like the film doesn't exist. Go on Just Watch. You can't get it anywhere. I had to scrap out an old DVD I got of it. I don't even know how old the DVD is. It's probably like 2000s, like early 2000s copy. Luckily, it's widescreen, not pan and scan or anything. But like, yeah,
I love that you did that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's the only chance you had of watching it.
It upset me though. Like I would love to have watched it in 4K, and I really do want to try and. Well, I say try and. I'm going to buy it, but it's like 40 quid to import. But I probably would. I would pay it probably to do it. But you
can
go on.
You can get it on eBay for 25.
Okay. But
I think you might even be able to get it for 20 on eBay.
The thing that's interesting about The Abyss is it's kind of the end of, like, it's around that interesting period of cinema between 1989 to like 93, where it's pre-Jurassic Park, but CG's just started to come in and around. So obviously this is before Terminator 2. There's similar effects with like the liquid metal and like the sauropod in this. It's not called sauropod, sorry. What's it called? I can't remember. They call it something.
Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly
do a synopsis before I
give you the synopsis. So, yeah, we've got loads to talk about because I'm so gassed about this film. I'm so excited about it. So this is about an oil rig crew. They're civilians and they're recruited to... they've got to do a search and rescue to collect a nuclear submarine which has sunk. And basically, we've got Ed Harris. I'm going to talk about the cast in a bit, but we've got Ed Harris anyway. So he is the foreman of the drilling platform Deep Core. We've got Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, who you'll know from acclaimed film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. She's a marine engineer. She is Ed's wife, Virgil. You got Michael Biehn as a lieutenant. He's a Navy SEAL who is basically on there to just make sure
he's got cabin fever before he's even started. Like he's just a walking disaster. As it's like, if anyone doesn't need to be isolated like hundreds of feet or whatever it is, thousands below the water, and to be stuck with, it's you.
Yep, we're not taught. Yeah, so say health and safety is kind of going out the window when it comes to Michael Biehn. We could talk about Michael Biehn as well. Actually, brilliant. And we've got basically just a crew of others. And so this film basically involves them diving down to depths and it really exploring, I guess, the psychology of man. It reminded me of The Thing quite a lot, but it explores kind of like just how far can we be pushed before we're broke. And it's phenomenal. What is James Cameron doing in 1989? He's got no business. Well, he has got business because you just come off Aliens.
As well, do you know what was insane to me? Is like watching the Jamie shared. Maybe we should link them, but there was two like behind the scenes featurettes which have been updated. I've seen them on the DVD many years ago, but they've been updated with some more recent interviews with Jim Cameron. Maybe it's because it's been even longer back that he's happy to talk about it in a different way than he may have done even 20 years ago. It's just like mental. They feel. I can't believe anyone signed the health and safety waivers for even filming the damn thing, because essentially it was put. They've in this massive ex-nuclear site which wasn't finished, and then like opposite it was like a massive, not dam, but like this space, and they filled it. And he said by the time they'd actually filled it and like worked out to film in there, it would have been cheaper to just build an entire, what do you call it, like tank somewhere else. They had to work out how to light underwater because they wanted it to look pitch black, but they had to learn to light it in a different way. So they had to find basically a gaffer who knew how to do that. They had to like build certain parts of technology so they could even make it work, whether that was the camera housings themselves or like having the motor things they can go on to like move around in the water. There'd never been a film where you could record dialogue with microphones inside the helmets, but they're not wireless. They are all physically tubed in. It just sounds like a complete nightmare before you've done anything. Jim Cameron would be there for 10, 11 hours a day underwater. Then would have to literally decompress for a set amount of hours, and he found quicker ways of doing it. He'd watch his dailies upside down underwater during the process. It just sounds like no one would do it now, like, and probably for good reason. Like, it's just completely mental. And like, no matter how many times I say in the documentary that it was never that unsafe, it feels to me like it was pretty unsafe. I feel like it feels like I don't think anyone's signing that. Tom Cruise would probably be allowed to do it because it's Tom Cruise, but I think anyone else would just be like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
I mean, so we had there was a really troubling production of this film in terms of certain areas.
Wasn't he also getting divorced as well? Which wasn't mentioned in that documentary, but I'm sure this is a divorce film, much like Angry Spielberg with Temple of Doom and there's
a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things in this film that were they hid from in that document. The documentary is about 50 minutes long. Like, it's fantastic.
It's very really much the Disney version of like all the positive things that came from it, and like the founding of not ILM, but the founding of like having Photoshop created in to work in this film and all those things, and like the technology. It's kind of leaving off the fact of like. From the cast who are like, this is a nightmare. Like, I was kept there for days on end, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't do that many takes." I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." It's like, okay, Jim.
Right. I want to ask you a question to start with, which is Sir Tone _reviews writes in, and Patch asks a similar question. So both of them say something along the lines of, "Why hasn't The Abyss had more recognition over the years? It felt like a hidden gem with more of a cult following than mainstream success. What held it back? And then why is The Abyss often overlooked compared to Cameron's other films? It's my favourite Cameron film," Satone says.
Because
so, like,
if you've got...
I've got quite a lot of ideas about this, so you go for it first.
If you've got Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 and Aliens on your resume, I think anything after that's never going to really top it anyway. For me personally. And then... yeah, but you're talking about now in general and like how people look upon it.
Sorry.
I feel like you got T1, you got T2, so no one's going to look on it that way. And then I also think the next massive one that springs to mind is Titanic, which is like one of the biggest films ever released, effectively, and then dwarfed by the other biggest film ever released another almost 10 years later with Avatar. So it's very difficult to kind of be like... And although people don't love Avatar, people know about it and they remember the first 3D experience there, even if they're not keen on the plot. So I feel like it does get forgotten about for that reason, because it's almost a backhanded compliment with how many bangers he's got. It's also an incomplete film. You're watching it with the director's cut perspective of the wave at the end and like how the aliens are responding. Essentially the theatrical cut is quite different. It is shorter. And he joked about how we had two cuts, one with unfinished special effects, which was longer, and one with finished special effects, which was shorter, and the audience chose the shorter one. He's like, but it's not the complete film. So I feel like people remember the incomplete film being like, oh yeah, it was quite cool for the first hour, but I don't really know what it was about at the end, and it just felt a bit like didn't really end properly. Whereas the director's cut does have a more definitive ending and a more actually hopeful and optimistic ending. It's like, we've judged you and we've told you all these bad things that your humanity do, but nonetheless, we're going to give you another chance. And like, I will need to ask you, sorry, on this note, is the 4K CG for the waves like really bad? Does it suck, or is it okay? Because he said in the documentary, if he could go back and do anything, he's like, I wouldn't change how I filmed any of it up until the last 20 minutes. And a lot of that's to do with CG in that sequence, I'm guessing.
He said that in terms of the CG in the film, that he reckons they could improve it now by 5 times. That's verbatim what he says. He says all of the stuff in terms of the dive in and all of that stuff, he said there is no way we can do that any better than what we did. So the waves, they
probably be safer now.
They look all,
and wireless.
It probably would be safer now. They look all right. But they're not. They're obviously. I'm also taking into consideration that it's a film from 1989. The film overall, when I'm watching it, could have been filmed yesterday. Like,
and that's why I think it's held up so well, because so much of it is literally real. And even there's some model work in there too. But like, it's like the Bigatures thing. Like the model ship was so big it needed its own license, like whatever, to be registered.
The model ship, right, which is a 10:1 scale. When the stuff they were doing to solve problems on this set was unbelievable, really. So there's 2 things that come to mind. I'll let you talk about the polypropylene balls or whatever they were made of. The one thing about this little boat is that it was a 10:1 scale, so it was 10 times smaller than the actual size of the boat that they were making it look like. They said that the biggest challenge they had with that boat was making the sea look smaller and making the water look smaller. And so what they did is that they, to maybe reduce the scale, as the close-up shots, they would have fans atomizing the water. So the fans were like blowing the water to make the spray look smaller in order to make the boat look bigger. And the shit like that they're doing to just... No corner is cut at any point
Well, you
during
say
the film
that
of this film.
it's deception with the camera, because the guys who did the special effects for this used to work with him on Battle Beyond the Stars, which is the Roger Corman movies, which was like the cheap sci-fi filmmaking that Cameron was brought up on when he was in the visual effects department. But he took those expertise on, and these guys also did the visual effects for Aliens, because I recognise them straight away from watching those behind the scenes many years ago. But they, you know, a lot of that is kind of like very low key effects and stuff. Like in Aliens, it's like, how do you get the POV shots of flying over the base or whatever? And it's like, oh, we just got a really crappy VHS camera and just walked it around like we were flying it, and then basically put it over on a CRT screen and it looks like CCTV footage. And it's like real lo-fi things to make things look more realistic, and sometimes weirdly it still looks better than the CG because of the tangibility. I'm not one of those people that says it's always better. There's lots of brilliant hidden CG, but it's the weight and mass as well. Models have weight and mass, and that's what your body clocks more at your body. What your brain clocks more than anything is when something doesn't look or feel right. Like Jamie always jokes about PS2 graphics in like Spider-Man 1. It's actually the lack of weight, I think, that really takes you out. If you pause it, some of the frames don't look too bad, but it's like the motion being weird with that too. So you can have one or the other.
Yeah, I always noticed it with I always noticed it with the Hulk film. You remember the film just called Hulk with Eric Bana? I always noticed it with that. Like, it's the thing missing, and some of the CG in that's great, by the way. Some of the stuff missing in that film is
it is for 2003. Like it looks surprisingly good.
It looks surprisingly good, yeah. It's but again, it's that kind of like the presence, really, the presence of the Hulk. It doesn't quite look right. So yeah, I mean, when I was watching this behind the scenes, the production of the film, they didn't really mention the production, but obviously, famously, we know that Ed Harris was reportedly like crying in his car, and nearly drowned, and so did Cameron nearly drown. And also, he refuses to speak about the film, like does not speak about the film at all. And that's because they've had such I think the things they were doing, people were going underwater for such long periods of time. They almost had some accidents with like tubes coming out and stuff. So there would be someone on hand to go down and give them some air. Like it's crazy.
I can't imagine anything worse than filming for 5 to 6 hours a day underwater in that setup. I think it sounds miserable. Even when like, I am always going to behind the scenes that I remember watching. The one I always watched loads was the Alien series, and you remember in Alien Resurrection they do like the swim through the tank, and like they best
scene.
And like whenever you watch the behind the scenes of them doing that, which was a way smaller tank for way less effort, it still looks so dangerous, and like you get stressed watching the behind the scenes of it. So to think Cameron was doing it at such a massive scale, I think it was sketchy. I don't care what he says. And
I think it was sketchy.
It looks, and I think the reason it looks so impressive is because it was sketchy, which sounds bad, but there is a truth to that. It's like when we joke saying in the old Bond films, why does that reaction to that bomb look so real? It's like, they didn't tell people, they just put like a fake explosive and then didn't get planning permission and then just like filmed it all and watched like the services going mad trying to deal with this problem, which they didn't know was fake. But you know, there's a bit of that about it. But sorry, we were talking about the fact it was filmed to make it look like it was deep down in the ocean, so that on top of the tank they got these tiny microplastic black balls to like cut all the light out, because they initially had this massive circus tent over the top, but it like broke in the weather, so it was useless.
It's also very dangerous. If something happens underneath that, you can't get out.
Yeah, exactly. But the micro balls, like, yeah, they can get out of the way basically when you come up. Like, you could ditch in points where there wasn't the balls, but if you did, you could still get through them, so it was safer. But yeah, it's really funny. I love that James Cameron was like, when someone suggested to him the tiny little like microplastic balls, he's like, well, that's a stupid idea, that won't ever work. And then he's like, oh, actually he was right. So,
yeah, how much though? Like 20 tons they needed.
Yeah, that's insane.
Sorry, I didn't finish kind of like with Patch and Setone's question.
Sorry,
the reason why
Jamie, you didn't.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it was my own fault because I digressed myself. For me, like, and this might be a hot take to some people, but one of the reasons why I think it might have been held back is definitely all the reasons that John said. So I think the fact that it came in between Aliens and Terminator 2. It didn't do very well at the box office. I actually think one of the reasons could be the cast, because I don't think the cast sets the world on fire at the time. So you've got Ed Harris, he's done everything. Like, he's been in so many things. But I wouldn't, if I say to someone, do you know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? Do you know who Sigourney Weaver is? They say yes instantly. Do you know who Ed Harris is? I don't think a lot of people know who Ed Harris is compared to the
Westworld.
lead in... Exactly. Yeah, Westworld, which he did a few years ago, when actually
30 years later.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that could be one of the reasons. And also, it's been unavailable for 20 years. So the film is literally, John mentioned is stinky DVD. It's been trapped on DVD for 20 years. There is no Blu-ray of it due to, I think, rights issues. The 4K is only available in the US. So actually, no matter where you are in the world, 4K is a region free, so you can get it, but it's just going to cost you. And then I think maybe the ending as well, like, 'cause I think the ending is pissed a lot of people off. Like, it's quite divisive. The director's cut wasn't available till 2012, so if I haven't seen the theatrical release, so having seen the director's cut, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's 4.5 stars, like, easily.
It's also actually, like, it's not very action heavy for Cameron.
No.
And I think that might be why people aren't as keen on it, because I suppose Titanic's not really. I mean, apart from the big sinking of the boat. I don't know how you feel about that being classified as an action scene rather than a horror scene, to be honest.
I think
it's a horror scene.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So but as we say, yeah, the production was really interesting. They were doing things that they'd never done before, which obviously inspired the likes of Terminator 2, like the liquid metal, all this kind of stuff. The Mary Elizabeth as well. She allegedly, she apparently walked off set during the filming of her breakdown scene, and Cameron kind of shouted out, "That's a wrap on Mary," and then the crew began applauding. So I think that a lot of the crew have said it's the worst experience of their lives. Of their professional lives.
He has got form though, Cameron. Like, if you read the Aliens book, there are a lot of people unhappy with him, but I feel like he came from Terminator, which was literally, well, he did Piranha 2 first, and then he did Terminator, and Terminator was very run and gun, didn't really have filming permissions for things, and they just kind of got in there nitty gritty dirty, and that's kind of the style of it. And then when he got to Aliens, which was his next film, the crew wouldn't watch the screenings of Terminator because they didn't care. They were like, "We want Ridley Scott. We're Ridley Scott's boys. We don't want you. Like, us Brits know what we're doing." And he got pissed off with the tea breaks. Apparently, it was a big deal, like, because the unions in the UK were very strict with what you could and couldn't do. Camera people can't pick up the camera. Directors can't pick up the camera in the same way. So he got frustrated with that. There's all sorts of like things about it. But I don't think he was a taskmaster in terms of lots of takes. That doesn't seem to be the impression. It seems to be he's a perfectionist with getting to that point before, which I think was more production-wise. Like, he was never happy with lighting on Aliens. I think it was a big thing. But also, he's very good at bringing, and people talk about this, like, Terminator 2 is like a seamless interaction of rear projection. Like, rear projection looks crap 90-ish% of the time. He nails it in T2. It's very difficult to know. I think some of it's regraded in later releases to make it fit even better than it did, which I don't mind, because it is what it is. But the way he mixes the models, or like the bigatures, and then like practical things all together to make it cohesive, I think it should be applauded. And like, the Abyss looks, like you said, real and tangible, and you probably wouldn't film it. It wouldn't look any different. The opening hour and a half plus wouldn't look any different now, I don't think, honestly.
No, I don't think so.
Also, just
question.
to say, sorry, I was going to say, do you remember about years ago we watched a film called Underwater for the pod, which I really enjoyed?
I was literally about to mention. You took the words out of my mouth. That's crazy.
Underwater definitely did way less actual underwater. Did a lot of CG and replacement, and that's not a dig, but like, because it would have been safer. But no, I love Underwater. It's honestly weirdly one of my favourite films we watched on the pod, because it's basically an alien film underwater. As in,
we didn't watch it. We didn't watch it for the pod, did we?
I swear we did.
I think we both. No, I don't know if we did. I think we
just both watched it.
But is it Christian Stewart, isn't it? We were talking about maybe getting the director on for that, because I think it was
desperate to, yeah.
Greg Fraser replied to me, but he was too busy to, which I was like, a little claim to. So I messaged him a while ago, and asked if he's free to come on the pod. He's like, "I'm so busy, I'm sorry." I was like, "Okay, cool. Thanks for replying."
Fair enough.
Sorry.
I was going to say, with that, it's like, that film for me is it's the same setup as this film, but the aliens aren't nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there are things living under the water, but these ones are very Lovecraftian and aren't keen on us, whilst like the James Cameron one is like the other end of the scale. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, again, Yeah, I mean, yeah, the question was, what ways did the Abyss pave the way for films like Terminator 2 or modern sci-fi? And I would say, like, obviously the is it Industrial Lights and Magic? Yeah. So they obviously they get the same people that worked on Star Wars and stuff. They built the water pseudopod, and they went straight into. Am I right in that, John?
I said sauropod, so pseudopod sounds better than what I said.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were making a face that they didn't do Star Wars, but they did, right? They were the
yeah. Industrial Light and Magic is set up by George Lucas, and then he bought the tech division.
Yeah, well, look, the liquid metal effects, they took that directly from the Abyss when you've got the water coming through the doors, and they kind of used those liquid metal effects for Terminator 2. So in terms of that, yeah, like, and if you look at the one thing that occurred to me when I was watching the Abyss, which I hadn't really considered before, maybe that's just me, I don't know, just away with the fairies. But when James Cameron's like, he's got this obsession with, like, when we look at the Abyss, the biggest threat in that film is human beings. And yet again, like, we've got Michael Biehn in the film, who you'll know as what's his
Kyle
name?
Reese.
Kyle Reese from Terminator. You've got Michael Biehn in that, and he is essentially the antagonist, and he wants, like, to grab this nuclear weapon and turn it on and, like, blow it up, and everyone's fighting against him. And you've got this, like, relationship between Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth, who they were married, well, they are still married, and they're getting a divorce. And I think that combined, like, their love combined with Michael Biehn kind of being the antagonist and kind of bringing them together. Again, Cameron showing, just like he did in Avatar, just like he does in Terminator, with actually human beings creating AI, we are the main people yet again that are ruining things. And I hadn't really considered that
all his films are like technology versus humanity. It's like the creativity and all the amazing things, and he always says, like, you create these amazing things, but you're always one second away from dicing with death, which is ironic coming from the man who put himself underwater to film this film. But just like, like, he's like, I'm a sci-fi writer, I'm obsessed with the idea of technology, but I'm also scared of what technology can do. It's like knowing the wondrous opportunities of it and also the negatives of it.
Yeah, I would like to note that, like, I think Cameron, like, is and I love him. Like, I think he's a total pioneer for, like, I'll say we wouldn't have the things we've got today without him. But if you look at the stuff he did and pioneered himself, it's incredible, really. Like, even to the point of where, like, we had a 10-year gap between Avatar 1 and 2 because he wanted the water to be a specific way. The action, the way he shoots action, like the special effects in Terminator 2, the way he's just completely uncompromising, and when he's got this idea, no matter how ridiculous it is, like, he will execute. Like, I just think it's really, like, I'll talk about my favorite directors, and I always mention, like, Spielberg and John Hughes, which is hilarious because John Hughes is just, you know, he's a character writer, and he writes teen comedies. I talk about Scorsese, but what Cameron does, he is everyone talks about Christopher Nolan, and the way I would say that they're quite similar, actually, Christopher Nolan and James Cameron, in terms of how they push technology and how they shoot things. And I don't know. I think Cameron is, when you look at his filmography, he's not got many misses there, really. Like, people would argue that the Avatar films aren't very good. You can say they're not very good. You can say that. They've taken more money than, like, most filmmakers' whole filmography. So say what you want, but people love them. People go to see them and their events, and I just think he's incredible. Like, honestly, when I watched this film, I was like, how have I not seen this before? And yeah, it's just unheard of. And then I just want to just go into, unless you've got anything to just talk about, John, I want to just talk about the scene between, so Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth, their relationship. Ed Harris is acting in just overall, and both of them, actually, they're them just overall. But the scene that really, really got me was obviously the scene where they're trapped underwater together. The place they're in is filling up, and he has to take her to the surface, and they're so low down that the water is, like, literally 1 degree. It's close to freezing, and they're going to have to sacrifice one of themselves. But obviously throughout the film before that, they hate each other, and they're kind of slowly building this relationship back and getting back together. The scene when he's trying to wake her up had me absolutely on the edge of my seat.
Just live, damn it. Is that it? I can't remember. Something like that.
John, it's honestly, John, it's one of, and it's one of that, is when people criticize like acting where it's like, yeah, people love it because he's shouting really loud. Like, so when people always compare that scene of like Jake Gyllenhaal, I think it's in Nightcrawler where he punches the mirror and breaks it. And then there's like other scenes where like Leonardo DiCaprio's losing it. It's like, everyone thinks this is great acting. Well, I do believe. Go on.
I was just about to say, you try doing it then, see how good or real it looks. I genuinely feel like I'd love to see most people. So I don't feel many dramatic things in that sense, but if you shove someone in front of a camera, everyone thinks, I think a lot of people think they're a lot better at it than they ever would be. Anyway.
I agree. And that scene when they've kind of like rekindled this love, which feels like it's not going to happen. It also doesn't even feel forced, I don't think. When they're in that kind of like filling up like room together, and one of them's got to sacrifice himself, and she's really scared. Her acting's fantastic as well. That moment when he's trying to wake her up, like I was genuinely, and we're going to spoil, by the way, so if you've not seen it, if you haven't been able to access it, then you should switch off. When I was convinced she was dead. I was like, there's no way she's waking up. Like, he scalps her across the face. He's screaming at her. He's begging her to live. I was just like, that is an amazing piece of acting. Like, yes, he's shouting, but like, he's fantastic. Like, and so when I'm saying like, yeah, he's not a strong enough leading man, I don't mean in his acting. His performance is unbelievable. I just mean his name. Like, change his name, to Robert De Niro, like, and people will go and see it. It's an unbelievable scene.
But I think it's dated less than other ones because it doesn't have that name in it in the same way.
You're probably right.
I feel like sometimes, like, you're like, oh, that's an 80s movie because it's got Arnie or Sly.
You're probably right, yeah.
And it kind of gives it that vibe, whereas this doesn't have that. Like, I think this film looks surprisingly modern, even on my crappy DVD 480p upscale.
Oh, and I need you to see it in 4K. I need you to see it in 4K.
I do really want to see it because I feel like it would look amazing. So, but
God damn it! Oh man, and when she opens her eyes, it's just unbelievable.
Cough with a splutter. Yeah,
yeah. It's
20 minutes she was out there, wasn't she, or something? In the film, not in real life, to be clear. But yeah.
That is an incredible piece of filmmaking, and it's nothing to do with the rest of the film. Like, it's just two people that love each other again.
Dumb question, like, do people really live that far deep down underwater for things anyway, or is it complete make-believe? Because like I've always wondered this.
Do you mean in submarines?
Not submarines, I know they exist, but like, is there do you reckon there is an equivalent to like what do they call it, deep dive, whatever it's called? Is there a place like that? Not that deep in the ocean, but do you think there is an underwater community somewhere? I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about, is there like a military base or something like underwater?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon there is somewhere.
100%, because they're always like monitoring. Look at us getting our tin hat. Well, I've just talked about a really romantic scene, and now we're getting our tinfoil hats on.
Like, tell me about the people who live under the water who monitor the aliens, and I'm drinking all the latter. But anyway, go
on. They're turning the frogs gay with all their chemicals. No, you're right.
That was a Simpsons episode, right?
I think so. Yeah. That's such a deep cut. Yeah, so I do think there are people that do that. I just want to
live underwater.
Live underwater, yeah, not turn the frogs. Right, okay. Well, listen, I don't know enough, and it's a bit of a conspiracy theory, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But yeah, I think that overall, obviously, once we're there, we're like, oh, how are they going to communicate underwater? So when Virgil takes his Bud takes his deep dive, that's another nail biting, unbelievable scene, and he's typing on his little thing, and it's that's the culmination of everything is I knew it was a one-way ticket. Like, that's what the aliens see, and that's why they're like, you know what, after all this suffering, Holocaust, all this stuff you've been doing to each other, killing each other, World War One,
there's still hope.
There's still hope. And again, another really, despite nihilistic performance by Michael Biehn, which he's also fantastic, and he's obviously got I can't remember what it's called, but he's got that psychological like.
He's basically obsessed with the Soviet threat from the off, isn't he? Like he thinks it's all like
he is.
But he's also I joked with Jamie earlier, but just as soon as he steps onto that, if you're thinking anyone who shouldn't go in a confined space underwater for a large period of time without any way of getting out, he looks like the person who shouldn't be there. You know, straight away.
He basically like has a really bad like under pressure and under like when they've gone really deep. He's almost getting I can't remember what it's called when you
essentially go stir crazy. As well.
Yeah, basically. And trying to kill everyone. So I think that look, this is an unbelievable piece of filmmaking. I would implore anyone to watch it. I think that it's one of the best sci-fi films ever made. I'm going to put it out there. I really do. I really, really do. I think it's unbelievable. John, anything else to say on it?
Still can't believe you've not watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. You're talking about two sci-fi films that involve first contact, but yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay, cool. Well, someone mentioned that to me about 2001. So I was like, yeah, John keeps talking about it, and he keeps. I will watch it. I really do want to watch it, but I genuinely
still want you to see it at the cinema. I think it, without being really pretentious, it is that kind of film that for your first time, it would be worth seeing at the cinema.
Yeah.
Because it's one of my favourite cinema experiences even now. But yeah,
I have a fun little question here from Anna. Anna.1128 or Anna VD, I think. The question is, would you rather travel to the bottom of the ocean or deep space? In brackets, both nightmares for me.
You're both stuck in a tin can either way, though, aren't you? Either way, you've still got the same issues. I mean, I feel like, to be fair, in Hail Mary, that ship looked bigger and enough for me to get on with. And space is like space all around, whilst the ocean feels like you've got a crushing pressure above you at all times. I don't know why psychologically I find that even more terrifying. But I have had dreams where like I'm in a rocket in space and I'm up there and I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst. Like Earth's there and I'm just stuck. And then someone's like, you got to do re-entry in a few days. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But
I would definitely, I would definitely choose space. And for a similar reason,
an alien race with like they might take you to a nice beach planet or something like Rocky.
I don't think that's going to happen. The reason why I choose space is because we still haven't been to the ocean floor, have we? Like there's parts of the ocean that we don't even know. We've not even been there.
We've mapped more of the moon than we have of the ocean floor, or that was a stat which was banning around for many years. I'm sure it's still probably true because we just can't see past certain depths.
Yeah, so we can't get down to the ocean. Yeah, we can't get down to the ocean floor. And then when I've seen these, like I love nature programs, so I'll watch like programs about tigers, all that kind of shit, like Planet Earth. But the ocean ones, when you see these little these like translucent little alien things, like I went to
the ones in the abyss.
Yes, I went to the Museum of Natural History, and we seen in New York, and we seen like these like weird ocean things. They look like aliens themselves. So I think I prefer to be in space because it's beautiful as well. The ocean floor, I'd imagine, would be just pitch black.
Can I just pick up on something we didn't mention earlier that annoyed me in Project Hail Mary? How the hell did he learn to fly the ship? Because he wasn't a pilot before. I think that's absolute bull.
He learned it in about 2 minutes, didn't he?
And when I read the book as well, it annoyed me at the time. But I remember thinking, like, in The Martian, it was established he was a pilot astronaut. Do you know what I mean? Like he was a scientist, but he knew his way around it anyway. He had the basic training. This was like he didn't even train, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm flying the ship. I know it's I'm thinking too much into it, but I did.
By the way, I've got there is another question as well.
Go on.
Which I'm going to really contradict myself. David Ellis writes in, just like you can go on moviesinapodshell at gmail.com and he says, which of these appeals to you more? Deep sea exploration or deep space exploration, and why? Now I have a different answer now.
Because you want to know what's at the bottom of the ocean floor.
Well, I'm less scared about what's at the bottom of the deep ocean than I am what's in deep space, because in deep space the facts are that we could be a grain of sand on a desert, which is the universe, the solar system.
But you won't live long enough to travel anywhere decent to find anything out, basically. There's no warp
David,
drive.
I'm sorry that John's gone for the boring answer. John's gone for the I'm a science teacher answer. Yeah. What if you did then? What if you could travel as fast? What would you rather do? Deep space?
I'd rather do space. I feel like if you've got the technology to do space, then, you know, if they've got a nice VR room and all these crazy things, I feel like I could get more on board with that than being stuck underwater.
You wouldn't be scared of aliens, like, might kill you?
I think space would kill me before aliens do.
Do you?
I genuinely think space is like, when I was a kid, I was fascinated by space, and from like the science fiction, Star Trek, whatever else. But then later in life, got more obsessed with the Apollo missions and realizing how they were literally going up in rockets with computers that have less power than most calculators these days, computing power.
Yeah.
And like, it was all so flying by the seat of your pants, excuse the pun, but literally. And it's just like, I find it like terrifying. They were basically in like strapped to a missile going up, finding an orbit that made sure you came back after a certain amount of time, then landed and stuff. I just find it absolutely mental. And like, space is so dangerous. Like, the first man to go out and do spacewalks and all that stuff. Like, I just feel like, oh my god, insane.
Well, there we go.
Yeah,
then.
sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. Hopefully, for the next episode, I'm gonna try and do Ready or Not 2, but it's actually very swiftly coming out of cinemas, because we've got other films on, so we're down to like one show in a day already. So
it goes straight to Netflix or something.
I don't know, but it's going to. All I know is that Super Mario Galaxy, which I'm going to see.
Yes,
Friday.
it's coming out for half term. Yep.
Well, that's already out. But so is Project Hail Mary's taking up all the screenings, and so is Faraway Land or something like
the Faraway Tree, or whatever it's called.
There you go. Yeah, and also They Will Kill You. Those are the films that are kind of taking up all the screen. So I don't know if we'll be able to even get there. So we'll do our best. But yeah, as always, you can go on YouTube. You can find us at Movies in a Pod Shell if you search it all one word, Tony. We'd love it if you subscribed. We'd love it if you give us a little stroke the bell icon, and it'll come up on your phone when we release a new episode. You can go on Spotify, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Amazon Music, which we love. And you can find us there as well. And you can go on moviesinapodshell.sumupstore.com, and you can buy a t-shirt for just tiny little £18, you know. Inflation was 3.7% last year, and we went up 0%. So what can I say? We're just nice, pre-shrunk cotton, you know. John, what about you, man? What are you doing?
What, right now?
Yeah, what are you going to do right now? What are you going to do after this?
I'll probably watch a nice, quiet episode of The Royal Family. Nice 30 minutes, old school on BBC iPlayer.
Really? You into that, are you?
Are you not?
Yeah, of course, but I just didn't know you were into it.
Oh, I love it. I used to love it, and then I hadn't watched it for about 15, 20 years. And I used to watch my mum and dad as like a wind down in the school week. Because we used to watch
very
comedies.
British. In fact, if anyone doesn't know what the Royal Family is, it's spelled Royle. Very British. Do you know what I've started watching? That's my little thing. The Last One Laughing on Amazon Prime.
We've just finished. Oh no, we've got one more left. To be fair, we might watch that tonight. So we're on the last one. But yeah, love that. That is good.
Can I just say, Bob Mortimer is one of the funniest people that has ever lived.
Because he's so random. You've got no idea where it's going. But I do love Sam Campbell. So I like Taskmaster, and Sam Campbell was on it a few years ago, and his humour is like nuts and really offbeat. And I think he might win. I don't know. We'll find out. But
okay, well, no spoilers. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for listening. John, are you going to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
See ya.